Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Fenton Forest Farm. I'm glad you came back for another episode. So let me just update you all really quick. First of all, I want to apologize for the really lousy audio from the first episode that I did on this very map. My apologies for that. I had this clicking sound, and I sort of realized it. I could hear, and it was sort of it was more of a vibration that I was hearing through the plastic headset and the microphone and everything. And I sort of detected it in the first episode, but obviously I was too far in to really sort of do anything about it. And there was really nothing that I could do, obviously, in post-production to kind of rectify that problem, since it was, pretty much all throughout the recording. And so, needless to say, again, I apologize that it ended up being that way. And anyway, so we're going to, I think I've corrected it. I think it was just a piece on the headset that was loose. I use a sort of, well, I wouldn't say it's inexpensive, but it's certainly not a very high dollar. It's around $70 or so. Plantronics headset that I've always used. I've always used Plantronics headsets ever since I've kind of been in IT, because that's kind of the best audio type headset for like voice over IP communications and everything, and it's always worked really well. And I've recorded, I don't know, something like 500 and something episodes, more or less, using kind of the same kind of headset and everything. Obviously, if it becomes more of a problem, if it's going to be a long-term thing, certainly if I experience it again, then we'll certainly do something about it. Now, also, the second thing is I've lowered the volume just a little bit of the environment and the equipment and everything, so I'm hoping that is a little bit better. But that Duramax truck, that flatbed black truck that I was using in the first episode, that thing is just a really loud piece of equipment, and not a whole lot that I can really do about that, especially if I'm going to kind of try to have everything consistent as far as volume-wise is concerned. Is that really all the straw that pigs need? Well, there you go. Alright, so as I was saying at the top of the show, this is the testing version 2, or the second version of the Fenton Forest Farm map that Stevie has released. It's a little bit of an interesting story because, where am I going? I think I did this last time. I think I got lost trying to go to the dump point there, so we'll just kind of do a U-turn and come back this other direction, and here we go. One of the things that I had pointed out in the first episode, or the first episode of the first version of the test map, was that the triggers on the silo was a little bit off. He has fixed those, and he's done a whole lot of other fixes that he's made to the map as well. And it's fantastic. It's even more fantastic than it was on the first version, the first video. And so I'm very excited to have the opportunity to play this and bring this to you all in this fashion. Just as I said for the first episode or the first video, this is really Sandbox. This is me just kind of playing around, doing some chores on the farm. We're not going to do a real let's play on this map until it is fully released for everyone to enjoy, and the risk of having to do restarts and everything becomes less apparent, obviously, at that particular stage. Obviously, I need to do some grass work and get some hay into the silos, so I will try to fit that into an episode soon for you all. So I guess for this particular hay, we should probably look and see who needs it worse, because we want to be careful that we don't run out. So obviously, let's see, the sheep can use some hay. The cows are okay on hay, so I think we will take this batch over to the sheep, and if we have any left over, then we'll just drop it off at the cows. And then we're going to do water, and then pretty much at that point we're going to go do something else. I've got a combine ready to go. Got a little bit of a surprise for you. Yeah, Courseplay. Courseplay is available for FarmSim 19. It's officially been released as beta, and it's, well, maybe we call it alpha instead of beta. It is a little bit buggy. There has been multiple updates to it over the last couple of days. I guess it's been out for a little more than 48 hours or so now. And there have been, like I said, several updates available to it. And my words of encouragement to you would be that if you certainly want to experience Courseplay, certainly make a backup of your game saves and everything, obviously. And that's actually not a bad practice for you to get into, regardless of what you're downloading and installing and everything into your game, because obviously anything is capable of completely blowing up some of your save games and everything, and you certainly wouldn't want that to happen. But certainly make a backup of your game saves and give it a try. But just keep in mind that it's beta, actually, as I said before, very much alpha. It is also not fully functional. They sort of did very much the same thing that they did with the FarmSim 17 version when it came out. They sort of are releasing the basic functionality of Courseplay, so you can set up like a transfer course, you can do basic harvesting, things of that nature, tractor emptying a combine, etc. But don't count on some of the more advanced features of Courseplay. Maybe like Combine Convoy may not be working yet, although I haven't confirmed or tested that yet. But just keep in mind that, like I said, it's beta. There's going to be things that's going to be broken about it. There's obviously going to be updates, maybe multiple times a day, or maybe multiple times a week. So just keep an eye on the versions and everything, and take those updates certainly as they are released, just so that you can be, the way you're ensured as smooth of an operation as possible. So let me just see where we are on our sheet. We're filling those up with sugar, beets, and potatoes, it looks like. So we've covered this is a new version of the map. We've talked about the fixes. The map layout, I just absolutely love the way that Stevie lays out his maps. I've got to say that I, for one, am in favor, or I'm a fan of having pretty much a centralized farm with everything kind of around it. And I know that maybe some PCs aren't capable of handling these types of resources and everything when you have so much in one confined space, especially when you start talking about, I think that's enough. We'll get that later. Especially when you start talking about hay bales and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just a fan of having everything in a centralized location. One of the things that I really didn't like about Goldcrest Valley when it first came out for FarmSim 17 was the fact that the cows, which cows are my favorite animal on FarmSim to raise and to work with and everything, they were so far away from the main farm. Of course, Stevie corrected that with his Goldcrest edit, and he's pretty much always kind of kept everything centrally focused. Now, obviously, now that we have a new animal type, that being horses, into the mix of FarmSim 19, it does, obviously take up more space. We do have some horses on this map. We've got cows, we've got pigs, we've got chickens, and obviously we've got sheep. So we've kind of got all of the animal types that is going there, and just kind of just carrying that through, because we want to make sure that we do diligence for Stevie's testing and everything. And I kind of chatted with Stevie a little bit today via Messenger on Facebook, and he's doing great, and I've told him how much I've certainly appreciated this beautiful map, and I know that so many others are as well. Very appreciative of that. And as far as the way that FarmSim 19 and everything functions now with the placeable system, I'm not really that huge of a fan of that. I think a lot of it may have to do with the fact that, well, I'm not very good at those kind of things, the terrain editing and stuff like that. I have challenges with. I think part of that is because I have an issue. And I was speaking with my friend, and obviously a friend of the channel, Chris Webb. He and I were talking, and he was trying to help me kind of troubleshoot some things. And the interesting thing is that, you know, if I try to go into terrain editing features, I can't move around with the mouse. I have to use the WAS and D key. And he had the same problem initially, but his kind of cleared up, and that issue went away. And I'm not really 100% sure what he did to solve that problem, and I'm not really honestly sure that he even knows what he did to solve the problem, but it just kind of went away. So I tried a couple of different things. One thing that he asked me about was, he's like, when you're out of the tractor and you move around, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, I use my accelerator pedal to move forward, I use my brake pedal to move backwards, and I use my mouse to steer, to turn myself. I don't use a steering wheel. I don't know why. I certainly could do that, but I think it kind of has to do with maybe the fact that the steering doesn't always recenter itself as well as it could, and all that. So anyway, it's just been something I've always done it that way since the Farm Sim 15 days, and it's worked really well doing it that way. And so I thought, or he thought, maybe that might be the issue, that it could be that that something with those controls, the way that I have those bindings set up, is affecting those features. The other thing that's interesting is, like, if I go into the shop here, and if I wanted to buy this guy, I can pan the camera just a little bit with my mouse, but my mouse goes off the screen, and that's where it stops. So again, not real sure. If you happen to know, because hey, let's face it, I don't know everything that there is to know. You may not know everything that there is to know, but collectively we all kind of know different things about different topics and everything. So if you happen to know maybe the error of my ways, and want to chime in, leave me a comment or something of something that I might try to see if I can solve this problem that I'm having, I would certainly love to hear from you. So we're just going to go and drop water off at the sheep and at the pigs. We'll probably need to get a larger water tanker, actually, because you know me, folks, I like to make as few trips as possible down to the water source, especially since it's not too far away, but you know, I like to maybe be able to load up the water tanker and at least water all the animals kind of in one go without having to make so many trips down to refill. But we'll correct that at a later stage. Again, we're just kind of playing things as we want to. There's I guess they're full of water. That's good. All right. Well, let's drop the water tanker off. Usually I'm a stickler for getting the water tanker refilled. I usually am on to Billy Bob about making sure that he fills up the water tanker when he is done for the session or the day or whatever. So we're just going to drop that right here and get out of the tractor and walk over to where we're going to do our next little job for today. And we are going to do some harvesting. We've got a oats field because we need some oats. I think I took the last of the oats out of the silo earlier, and so we need to add some oats to our silo. So we have one field of oats that we have yet to harvest. Now we've harvested the other fields, and we've kind of been in the process off camera of getting those set back up. So I think I've got this guy here set up on course play. He is, let's see, he's waiting until fill level is reached. Okay, so we will go ahead and get over here in this combine and see how this is going to work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that there is a possibility that this is not going to work too well because, again, as I said before, course play is very much beta. maybe not even, maybe still alpha. But you know, you got to test these things. You got to kind of know what the limitations are, how things are working, and so on and so forth. And so, you know, we won't know if this functionality and these kind of things are working until we at least test it and see what happens and all that kind of stuff. So you also may have noticed that we've got some Brahma bulls over in cows in our cattle yard, and I am so excited to have those. I'll tell you a little story here after I get myself a drink of water. All right, so you know, the first time that we saw the Brahma cows was in Farm Sim 17 after the South American map was released, and those cows were only available, to my knowledge, on that map. I think they were locked into that DLC, and I don't think that map developers, map modders could actually get to those assets or those resources. So I wasn't real sure if we would see them in Farm Sim 19, and quite honestly, with my limited playing of Farm Sim 19 up to the stage just before Stevie released this map, I had never gotten around to doing cows in Farm Sim 19. We did horses on the Ravenport map that we were playing and playing around on and everything for, I don't know, 6 or 7 episodes, whatever I did of that map. And never got around to doing cows, so I had never actually looked at what sort of cow types were available, the color options, and all that kind of stuff. And so I was on this map, and actually I did it on the first test version of this map. I was adding some cows to our herd just because I think Stevie starts you off with like 6 cows or something like that, and so I kind of figured, well, I'll bump that up to 20-something head of cattle, and so I noticed that those were available in the options, and I'm just very excited to have those, and I'll tell you why. When I was a small child, probably just a little snotty-nosed kid, running around about age of, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that, my great uncle, would be my grandmother's brother, had a farm there in East Texas, and he raised Brahma cattle. And you know, I would go and visit him, and he would always take me out to the pasture and everything, and he looked after me. I mean, it wasn't like he was neglecting me or anything like that, but there were some cows around, and most of his cows were fairly gentle. And I don't know if this was a bull or what the status of the type of cow it was. I just know that it was a Brahma because it had the hump on the back. I do have that memory pretty much etched into my brain. But I probably got a little bit too close. Maybe I was, you know, fidgeting about just a little bit, as kids do. And he just sort of showed me, you know, he didn't charge me or anything like that. I really don't think he would have hurt me at all. I think he was just basically showing me who was boss, and that was the way that worked. But that just sort of, you know, I just have that memory in my head about that activity, and it's always left me somewhat fascinated with those types of cows. Now, being from Texas and also being a University of Texas fan, no, I did not graduate from the University of Texas. My grades would not have even got me in the parking lot, let alone in the door. But I am a fan of the University of Texas as far as collegiate sports are concerned. And I would absolutely dearly love to have Longhorn cattle, to be able to raise Longhorns on Farm Sim, as well as I would also really love to be able to have bison, to be able to raise bison. And I know I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go off down into the weeds on that, but I think that would be really cool to have access to different cattle type other than the option that we have, but at least Giants have basically given us two different types of cattle. And as far as, you know, here in the US is concerned, these two types of cattle obviously are probably what's most common. But like I've maybe mentioned before, when I go down and I visit with my parents for either Thanksgiving or Christmas or during the summer or whatever, they actually live very, very close to a ranch, and my dad knows the guy that owns the ranch, and basically he raises longhorns. And my dad, when we were there 2 years ago, we saw him from the highway, and my dad's like, well, you should stop by and say hi and just let them know that you're my son, and they'll let you out there and probably introduce you to the cattle. And I've got a picture of myself and my wife, and we're literally standing, we're in the pasture, we're standing right next to a longhorn that's probably got about a, I don't know, 6 or 7 foot set of horns on him from tip to tip, and just a massive animal. And he's just a gentle giant. I mean, he would not have done a single thing to hurt either one of us, and it's just pretty impressive. All right, well, we are just moving along here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to give Courseplay a test here. Now, obviously, I've got the default settings set. I think he's going to come out onto the field at 90%, but we can go ahead and call our driver. And I think what I'll do is I'll wait. Looks like maybe he is already coming. So he's slipping right now, but maybe he can resolve that issue. But hopefully, I was going to wait and actually call up as we steer erratically down the field. I was going to wait until we got on the other side, because I'm afraid that these trees are going to maybe causing some problems. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I will go back and clean that up here in a moment. But I want to see if he is going to be capable of coming up and emptying us and not getting tangled up in those trees over there. Unfortunately, sometimes that is how Courseplay does. But you know, you just kind of have to be patient with Courseplay, even when Courseplay is at the, you know, top of its game, like it would be if you were playing with Courseplay on Farm Sim 17. I would have to say that, you know, whatever the latest version of Courseplay was for 17, it's probably, I'm going to get over here on this side, he'll follow me, I'm sure, but it was at its top of its game, and you know, it still has some challenges, it still has some things that you just have to be patient with, and that's all that we can really do with these things, because humans make mistakes. Humans, you know, can get themselves into tangles and everything, and you know, I'm sure you've seen the pictures yourself. I've seen photos of combines down in creeks and rivers and stuff like that, so we know it happens, and well, that's pretty darn good right there. Can't beat that at all. Now, even before I updated the map to the second version, even with the triggers being what they were on the silo, Courseplay was still able to detect where the trigger was, and it was stopping in the right place. So hopefully that will just continue to improve since Stevie's got all the triggers and everything working. Now, I haven't tested the cell point triggers. They were also a little bit iffy. I did test them on the first version of the map, but I've not had an opportunity to test them on this version. Now, I will point out one other small little bug, and I don't know where to place the blame. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you will see the glance, well, sort of the equivalent of the glance mod. And you see that I'm Grizz, aka Jerry, driving the Ideal 9 Tango combine at 6 miles per hour. We've got the 1050, the Fenton 1050. He's getting blocked. I don't know, I guess blocking means that he stopped, I think, Lance's terminology. But then you also see the 0 miles per hour, the 8500R. That is the John Deere 8500. And I was messing about with Courseplay earlier, just a little bit before I clicked record on my software. And I guess for whatever reason, even though that tractor is parked, the engine's off, doesn't have an active course loaded, I guess because it had a course at one particular point in time, Lance has kept that information in its memory. Now, if I were to, because I'm controlling this particular apparatus, if I were to get out of it and shut it off, then this actually would go away. The ideal would go away. But I'm not sure why that is, and again, I'm not sure if that is a Courseplay issue or if it's the mod issue with the Glance mod or whatever it's called now, or just what. But in any event, hopefully that will get sorted out. Whoever is responsible for that will fix that. Now, obviously, if I save the game, exit out of the game, and come back in, then that goes away. So it's not like it's something that's permanent, that's going to, record every single piece of vehicle that I use with Courseplay. But it only happens when I use something with Courseplay. It doesn't happen if I use the in-game hired worker. So again, I don't know. Maybe the evidence points towards Courseplay, but maybe it's a combination of the two. I don't know. But I tell you what, we're going to go up here, we're going to turn around, and we're going to call for our tractor, and then we're going to send the tractor to home. So he'll go and he'll dump the oats, and then we'll see if he comes back, and if he can do all that without getting tangled up anywhere or deciding to leave the county or something like that. I'm hopeful that it will eventually work out well. One of the things that I was experimenting with Courseplay even just a couple of days ago was in setting up transfer courses, because I have said, I think I mentioned it in the first video, that one of the mods that I'm really missing, and I know everyone has their 1 or 2 or 10 mods that they really miss, and of course I've missed Courseplay, I've missed the GPS mod, because obviously if we had the GPS mod, we probably would be operating in a little bit straighter lines and everything, but it is what it is. But one of the things that I'm missing, especially as I've been kind of setting up this map for doing different functions and everything on the farm, is I missed the follow me. I missed the follow me mod. I wasn't sure where he was going to go. I wasn't sure if he was going to try to play chicken with us or not. But anyway, I missed the follow me mod because I'm usually, especially if I'm doing things off camera, I tend to like to send all the equipment, drive all the equipment out to whatever field or location that we're going to be working on, and kind of doing that one at a time takes a lot longer amount of time to be able to do. And so obviously utilizing the follow me mod does save time with that, but since we don't have follow me right now, and not real sure when we'll get it, or even if we will get it, I'm going to send the driver home and see how this works out. But I was using the transfer course function, and you just basically, obviously you have to record the course, but I'll just quickly show you on the map here. We own field number 8. Let me do it like this. We own field number 8, field number 1, 2, 3, and 5. And so I was doing some things in the first version of the map up here on this grass field at field number 8, and I was setting up a transfer course, and the first version of Courseplay that I downloaded and installed had a bug, and the vehicle would not stop at the last waypoint. It would basically go to that waypoint, but then it would keep driving. So who knows, if you weren't paying attention, your tractor could be either running into a tree, or it could be on the other side of the map, or it could be pulling a billy bob and be in the, underwater in the pond or something. So that issue seems to be fixed now. So they are making progress. I mean, that's the whole point. And I think that the Courseplay development team relies on people like us that don't mind taking a little bit of a chance. We do our precautionary stuff. We back up our game saves and everything, and we take a chance and we install these, even as crude as they might be. We install them, we test them, we report back our findings and everything, because that's only going to make it better for everyone that is involved. And that's, I think that is so important. I think that is so important to do, to basically help each other out, help the modders out. That's what we're doing with Stevie, or for Stevie, is he has been gracious enough. I mean, Stevie could have just released this to a very private group of people. He could have released it to just a small handful of people that could have tested it for him, reported everything back. But Stevie's like, hey, instead of having 5, 6, 10, 12 or whatever, let me open it up and let whomever knows me and obviously is members of his Facebook group have access to it and help report the findings. And because, hey, more eyes on it are going to be better than less eyes. Am I right? Okay. All right. Let's look and see where our guy is. Hopefully he is okay. It says he is blocking. I'm not sure what he would be. What's blocking him? Did he already dump, and is he already back? Maybe not. Okay. I tell you what. We're gonna wrap this episode up, but I'm gonna go find out where he is. Let's just tab through our vehicles, and I know I have a lot of them. He is right there. He's emptied, but he's not returned to the field. So let's just test something. Let's go back to our combine. Again, this is all kind of like live stuff. And let's just see if we request a driver. Now, that's kind of weird that he would wait way back there instead of waiting at his normal spot, which obviously, when I created that course from the field edge to the silo and then back, obviously it's a complete course. I did not tell him to stop there, but yet he obviously saw that he needed to, and he still seems to be there. Now, another weird thing, and I will just say this and then I'm going to close out this episode. In the earlier version of Courseplay that I had tested before this particular updated version, when running the combine with controlling it with Courseplay, it sometimes would just stop on its own as well. So I'm still thinking, they're going to move the chains, it's going to get better. All these little bugs and everything will get sorted out. We just need to be patient and work together, work with the development teams, and we'll just make it all great again for all of us. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode here on Fenton Forest Farm by Stevie. Again, this is just Sandbox. We're just having fun. We're playing around with this map until it gets ready for full production, and enjoying visiting with you all, and I hope that you're enjoying the content as well. Please make sure you head over to the Simulation Gaming Society, join our Discord, and say hello to us over there. That would be Eustace Farmer, Duxorley Gaming, and myself. We would love to have you over there. Take care of yourself, and also take care of all of your loved ones, and we'll see you on the very next episode right here on the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. God bless you all. Take care.